We also have some breaking news that we do want to get to right now. This out of the Middle East, and you are taking a live look at the border between Israel and Gaza. The very latest is this. Iran has rejected a call by 3 European countries demanding that it refrain from any retaliatory attacks against Israel following the assassination of Hamas's political leader in Tehran last month. The leaders of France, Germany, and Britain issued a joint statement endorsing the latest push by mediators, Qatar, Egypt, and the United States to broker an agreement to end the Israel-Hamas war. The European leaders also called for the return of hostages held by Hamas and unhindered delivery of humanitarian aid. Mediators have spent months trying to get the sides to agree to a 3-phase plan in which Hamas would release the remaining hostages captured in its October 7th attack in exchange for Palestinians imprisoned by Israel. And Israel would also withdraw from Gaza. Talks were expected to resume on Thursday. This comes as Yemen's Houthi rebels stormed the headquarters of the United Nations Human Rights Office in Yemen's capital earlier today, seizing documents, furniture, and vehicles, according to a senior UN official. And in more breaking news, a ship in the Red Sea came under attack at least 3 times today in an assault that included the use of a bomb-carrying drone boat, likely the latest in a campaign by Yemen's Houthi rebels over the Israel-Hamas war. The ship was first attacked as an explosive was detonated near it. That's according to the British military's United Kingdom Maritime Trade Operations Center. And then a small vessel acting suspiciously flashed a light near the ship, came close, actions that were followed by a second blast. To talk more about all of these breaking news stories, I do want to bring in Harley Lippman, an expert analysis in U.S. policy and global dynamics at Harley Lippman. Harley, thank you for taking the time to speak with us about all of this. We appreciate it.
My pleasure. Happy to be here.
Absolutely. We have been anticipating Iran's attack against Israel, likely to happen in the coming days. But I'm interested in getting your take in the fact that Iran has now publicly rejected a call by France, Germany, and Britain not to attack Israel. What do you make of this? What is the significance of this rejecting that call, or is this really just political posturing?
Well, it's a little more on the political posturing side because Iran can't be seen as giving in to pressure from France and these other European countries. Iran has a lot of pride. They were just humiliated because whoever took out the political leader of Hamas, and it's widely believed to be Israel, scored an incredible breach of Iranian security and intelligence to take out someone in Iran, in Tehran, the capital, in a safe house where they host dignitaries. So Iran has to show a lot of bluster, and I believe Iran will launch an attack on Israel because now it's public and they don't want to be humiliated. So they need to vindicate themselves, and they're under so much pressure among their supporters to stand up to Israel. So in my view, it's unlikely they would ever cave into that kind of pressure. What they're debating is how much to attack Israel and where, because Israel has made it clear that if Iran attacks civilian centers, Israel will retaliate by destroying much, if not all, their oil facilities, and perhaps even attempt to damage, if not destroy, their nuclear facilities. So that's a clear red line. But even if Iran adheres to that, it's very difficult to manage and control. Israel's a small nation with civilian centers near military places. So it's very easy for there to be a miscalculation, very easy. And I think more than anything else, that could propel us into a bigger war. But I think a lot of Iran is even though we're all worried and we're all deeply concerned about the damage that Iran and Hezbollah can do, at the same time, I think Iran is afraid of a war. Their military is quite weak, really. They are effective in ballistic missiles and in drones, and in that they're extraordinarily capable. But they don't want a war with Israel that I believe that they would lose. And this is about them being publicly humiliated and the need to respond to that.
And Harley, I want to ask you about that because, again, as you mentioned, there's this internal pressure in Iran to respond, but not to respond in such a manner that that might cause a larger regional conflict. At the same time, let's go back to April because Iran did respond at that point in time, and it was a largely failed attack. Do you think that they would respond into a similar manner in which they would act, but it wouldn't go so far as to actually create that larger regional conflict? Or do you think that they would want to take a stronger stance because back in April, it really didn't go anywhere?
Right. So what happens when you have what happened in April is everybody learns from that and figures out the strengths and weaknesses of their enemy. Iran now knows to a large degree how effective the air defense is in Israel and vice versa. So what Iran is trying to figure out that they don't want, as you just pointed out, the same result that did fail. So they're trying to navigate and figure out how to find a weak spot. That's one avenue where they could attack, which is the most likely. But also, they're probably trying to think out of the box. They could attack Israeli citizens around the world. In 1994, they attacked a Jewish community center by using their proxy Hezbollah in Buenos Aires, killing over 80 grandmothers and grandchildren who are the only people that go to a community center in the afternoon. Parents tend to be working. So they attacked an Israeli embassy before. So I think they're looking for targets. They may go for soft targets. There are reports that they go for what they think are Israeli bases in Kazakhstan or Azerbaijan, so they may hit them there. And they're looking to find all kinds of creative ways to get by and fool the defenses of Israel, America, and their allies.
And I also want to ask you about that because strategically, from the standpoint of Iran, as they have vowed that they themselves would respond, do you think that they would still use the proxies? Because we have seen, and again, there's been breaking news, right? The ship that was attacked likely by Houthi rebels in the Red Sea, and also the UN headquarters in the capital of Yemen being attacked by Houthi. Do you think that Iran directly will respond, or will they use proxies, in which case, that also sends a different message?
I think for sure Iran will respond, and probably they'll utilize their proxies. The problem with their strongest proxy is clearly Hezbollah, and that's a big tinderbox because that could really explode into a major war in the region. Both Hezbollah and Israel have formidable weapons. Their borders touch each other, and the results could be quite devastating. The interesting thing is that now's the time for Iran to attack because this is now a Jewish holiday called Tish B'Av, and Arab nations historically have liked to attack Israel on religious Jewish holidays. And interestingly enough, this Jewish holiday mourns the loss of the two temples in Israel, which really defines the Jewish people historically. So one destroyed by the Babylonians, and then after that destroyed by the Romans. So symbolically, this could be a signal that we're going to destroy what's left of Israel, if you will. So it's quite interesting that Tish B'Av is falling today and in the next few days. But I'll tell you what I think is the interesting, bigger story, which is that Israel strategically should attack first. Why? Because whoever attacks first not only has the element of surprise, but they could pick out their own targets, and it gives them a huge advantage. In the Middle East, when you look historically at the wars, countries that attacked first had a huge advantage and either won or were winning. So and that would be some shock to the Arab world to see Israel's military do that. The problem with that is they probably will not have the support of the United States. And for that reason alone, I think Israel will not do a preemptive strike, which historically, culturally, militarily is really more part of their DNA to strike first before they're hit. Because Israel is small and vulnerable, if they wait for the enemy to strike first, it may be too late for Israel to recover.
And, you and I have previously talked about potential timelines. Do you think that some sort of response, either by Iran or by Israel, is is going to be happening sooner rather than later. You mentioned, and I'm glad you brought this up because historical context and context in general is so important, that this today is a Jewish holiday, and there's a lot of significance in that. Do you think it could happen this week, given the historical significance of what this holiday represents?
Yeah, I think that's the conventional wisdom. That's the thinking of most analysts covering this region, is that it's going to be now. Interestingly, though, the United States, Israel, and its allies are very, very well prepared. So, in a sense, they're de-escalating it by saying it's going to be now, because they're warning Israel and the Americans, get ready, here we come. So, just by doing that, they're kind of lowering the temperature, sending a signal that, we don't want this to get into a major war. We're even giving you a warning. That said, though, as you pointed out earlier, that because their earlier attack on Israel in April failed, they need to do something more robust and to have a bigger impact. And again, well, that's so hard to control that things could quickly escalate. And for Israel, this would be a great opportunity to take out the nuclear facilities, or at least damage them, set it back, develop that nuclear bomb that Iran is on the threshold of breaking out with. And they could also do a lot of damage with their oil facilities. That would restore deterrence in the Middle East. This is something that Israel needs to do. Israel has to be dominant in what they call the escalation ladder, where one side attacks, the other side hits back, and then it escalates slowly. You don't want to get caught up in that. You want to be at the dominant escalation ladder leader, so that you're controlling how much weaponry you're using and force, so that you're at the top of the escalation ladder. But that said, I think Israel is prepared. I think they've always been prepared for conflict with Hezbollah and Iran. Israel was just shocked and surprised with the war with Hamas. That's where they made a mistake. And Israel indeed was humiliated themselves by being surprised, where Hamas had great success early on in the conflict with Gaza.
Harley, before we let you go, we've talked about a lot of different events that have unfolded, as well as what we can expect and may expect. But is there anything else that you are keeping a very close eye on or anticipating in the coming hours, days, and weeks?
Yes, just that Jewish people, Israeli people, are vulnerable now with this atmosphere of anti-Semitism, and with countries like Iran, Hezbollah, Muslim Brotherhood, and they're looking for weak targets. And so everybody has to be on guard, because now there are very little red lines. So I think innocent civilians, just because they happen to be Jewish or Israeli, are now more likely targets than they've ever been.
All right, Harley, as always, we do appreciate you taking the time to join us here on Live Now from Fox.
Thank you.